Hello, Wouter here, and especially for all of your high achievers out there who often have this feeling that what you're doing is never enough, right? Well, I would like to share with you one simple truth that if you don't accept it, will actually cause this perpetuating feeling of never enoughness. So let's dive in. Now, these feelings of not doing enough, or not doing it good enough, or not being good enough, they don't come out of nowhere. What is often underneath that is this gigantic web of complicated stories that you have about yourself and about your environment and about how the world should look like, right? And then there are all of these expectations. And then something gets triggered within you. And then suddenly you have these thoughts like, oh, am I actually the right person for this? All these other people seem to know so much more than I do. They have so much more experience, and by now actually I also should have more experience too, but I don't, and this is a problem and it's not good. So you're worried, you become stressed, and maybe you're a bit reluctant to ask questions because what if they find out? Kind of like the imposter syndrome, right? So there is this part of you who becomes a little bit scared, and trust me, we all have such a part. And it is this part who has often forgotten about these simple truths that then leads to these feelings of not enoughness. So what is this simple truth that the scared you has forgotten about? It is this: you have certain skills and you lack certain skills. And this is true for every second of your life, from the moment you are born until the moment you die. Now just hang on for a couple of minutes so that I can explain why it is true and why it is so powerful and important to remember this. Okay, so you have certain skills and you lack certain skills. And even as a little baby, this was true. You were able to breathe, to cry, to drink milk. You were able to throw up that same milk. So pretty amazing skills already. But you also lacked skills. You couldn't walk, you couldn't talk, you were terrible at mathematics, you couldn't solve complex problems. So these were skills you lacked. But let me ask you this question. Did you as a baby worry about not being good at maths? Probably not, right? You were just in a certain phase of your life and you had skills and you lacked some other skills. Now fast forward for another 3 years, right? So you're 3 years old and now you're in a slightly different phase. You have learned a bunch of skills. You can now walk, you can also talk a little bit, but you're still terrible at maths. But you don't worry about it. You're simply in a phase where you have certain skills and you lack other skills. And mathematics is just one of those skills that you lack as a 3-year-old. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now fast forward for another couple of years. You're now in high school and maybe you still suck at maths, right? But now there are expectations, stories. You may fail an exam and a teacher might say something like, well, you're not very smart, are you? And it kind of hits you. Like you feel it in your gut, like, oh, I'm terrible at maths and this is a problem. And this is the beginning of one of these stories that you carry along with you. So every time you get confronted with a situation where there is mathematics involved, you feel this instant stress. But again, when you were in high school, weren't you just also in a phase where you had certain skills and you lacked other skills? And when you now look back at that period where you were a high school student, where you might have failed an exam or there was something else you screwed up, and maybe some kid said a bunch of stupid things to you, when you now look back at that period, did you do anything wrong there? Or were you just in a phase of your life where you had certain skills and you lacked other skills? Now, how is this any different from where you are now? I mean, it was true when you were a baby, it was true when you were a 3-year-old, it was true when you were a high school student, and now, in this very moment, it is still true. You are in a certain phase of your life, you have certain skills and you lack others. And guess what? In 10 years from now, still true. You are a human being. You go through all sorts of phases, and in every second of your life, you have certain skills and you lack other skills. And maybe there are all of these stories and expectations by you and by other people that sometimes make you believe that it is wrong to lack a certain skill. But what is actually wrong here? Is it wrong that you are now in this phase of your life? I hope you can see that that is just total bullshit. These are just stories that sometimes make you believe that you have to be Superman or Superwoman. No, you are human. You screw up sometimes. It's okay. Now, what would happen to all of your feelings of not enoughness if you would just acknowledge that you are in a certain phase of your life where you have skills and you lack other skills? I mean, wouldn't that be a relief? And look, if you want to learn new skills, I mean, that's great. But not because of this weird, twisted idea that there's something wrong with you. No, just because it is nice to learn new stuff. Not always easy, but it definitely makes life worth living. So please go out there and screw up from time to time. Don't take it personal if people say stupid shit from time to time. Just ask questions, receive feedback, try out a bunch of things, and before you know it, you have again learned a bunch of really cool skills. And you still lack some other skills. So, you are human. You are in a phase. You have skills and you lack skills, and it's totally fine. So I hope this helps as a good reminder. Now, if you want to learn more, there is a link in the description and you can register there for a free workshop. I also have a more in-depth video course that currently I offer for whatever you want to pay. So pretty cool stuff that is accessible for you for now. Have a great day and hope to see you next time.